a dancer's position. Now, I'd been dancing all my life, loved it, wanted to be a dancer, but wasn't quite sure how I would get there, or, you know, the dance industry back then was so different to the dance industry now. So this audition came up for a dancing job at Pontins in Blackpool, and I thought, that sounds like a really good idea. That sounds like great fun. So 18, I auditioned, I got the job, and I went off to Blackpool to be a dancer and a blue coat. So if you went to Pontins Blackpool in 2000 and something, no, it wasn't even 2000, 1990 something, I was a blue coat there, and that was so much fun. We had the best season. I made some of the best friends there, and it was just brilliant. Loved it, loved every second of it. It was hard work. We hardly got, you know, the pay wasn't great, but it was brilliant. Loved it. Got to dance on stage every night. Got to sing, which I loved it. Yeah, it was great. So I left there. Again, throughout the year there, the lupus was quite well controlled. Yeah, I would say it was well controlled to a point. I was still getting very, very tired, and obviously doing a job like that, I was 18, I wanted to be in the bar with all my friends. So at night we would go and have a drink, we'd stay up late, we'd watch movies, we'd drink hot chocolate, we'd just have a great time. So there were times when I was fatigued, there was times when my arthritis was playing up, and you know, I'd get the hair loss as well, came and went. It wasn't just fine, you know, it wasn't just, oh, my hair grew back and it was all great. There was still times when it would fall out, which was really hard to deal with, especially being away. I just wanted to be like, you know, I wanted to have my hair down, I wanted to just, you know, I wanted it all to be okay, I wanted it to disappear, and it didn't. So I came home quite a bit when I had days off, which probably didn't help because I was still driving then, which meant I was even more tired, but I wanted to see my family, and but yeah, it was manageable. I managed it for that year. I came home in the December, and I spent Christmas at home that year and New Year at home. And then wasn't quite sure what I was going to do, and I still wanted to dance. Dancing was the one thing that I was hooked on, and I wanted to be a dancer. So I then applied to be a dancer, and this position was on the Isle of Wight. So I went to the audition with my mum, and because I didn't want to go on my own. Again, bizarrely, my mum had the day off work, bless her, and came with me, and I went into the audition, did the audition, I came out, I said, oh my God, that was absolutely awful. Like, I was so down on myself. I was like, I'm horrendous. I can't dance, can't sing, can't do anything. It was awful. Anyway, so I came home going, I haven't even got the job. Like, what am I going to do? And I remember that night going up to the stables, and I got a phone call saying, we'd like to offer you the job. Can you be there next week? And I was like, absolutely, of course I can. So I moved my entire life then down to the Isle of Wight, and I was a dancer down there, and again met some just incredible people who I'm still in touch with now. Absolutely the best times of my life, like just insane people. And I remember when I was down there, I at this point again wasn't on any constant medication, but knew at that point what my triggers were. So I knew that if I had a lot of really late nights, I was gonna struggle. My joints were gonna hurt. And being a dancer, I think for me, I found my way of helping my body deal with this, like dancing, late nights, just the sort of lifestyle I was living. I had to really be conscious about, one, what I was eating, two, what I was drinking, and three, the additional exercise that I was doing. Now, I know you think dancing is physically demanding on the body, absolutely is. But for me, I really got passionate about going to the gym, because when I went to the gym and I went on the treadmill, the cross trainer, the rower, and then stretched, went swimming, sat in the sauna, the steam room, I found that the combination of all of these things that I was doing was really helping my energy levels maintain at a high level. So I was going to the gym, which sometimes I didn't want to do, and sometimes I physically was just so exhausted that I didn't want to do. However, for me, learning about my body and learning how my body works, the more I sat around and didn't do anything, the worse it got. So for me, to keep active and to keep maintaining a routine is really important with lupus. Keeping routine is probably the most important thing that I can stress anybody who's going through anything, any autoimmune. If you can kind of keep a routine in what you're doing, I feel your body reacts better. Well, it certainly does in my case. So I was going to the gym, I was swimming, I was going to the sauna. I did have to be careful about, having a drink and staying up too late. But it wasn't that I didn't do it. It was just that I knew if I did do it, I was probably going to feel it for the next few days. So I had to weigh up, is it going to be worth me going out tonight? Or actually, do you know what? I'm just going to go to bed and get an early night and just chill out. So that's how I became able to cope with my condition, and that's how I became more aware. And bearing in mind, at this point, I was diagnosed it started when I was 15, I was diagnosed when I was 16. And so at this point I was 20, just turned 20. So, I had 4 years to deal with this. I'd grown up with it for the last 4 years. So yeah, things were really good down there. Again, I wasn't on medication, wasn't under a consultant because I was working away. And things were really good. Things were great. Loved my time down there, loved the people, had the best time. But in the dancing world and in the dancing contract world and things like that, I became a little, we call it itchy feet in the industry, but I got itchy feet, and I'd been there for 18 months and longer than that actually, 19, 20. About 20 months I'd been down there, and I just made the decision that actually I'm ready for the next challenge, and I'm going to go home and then I will find my next challenge. So as it happened, it was in the February, it was Valentine's Day I left. I'd handed my notice in, left on really good terms, so I knew that there would always be work in that specific company. And so I left there, and I remember I'd already applied for a few jobs, and I was driving home from the Isle of Wight in my little Peugeot 205, and I got a phone call from what was to be my next contract, and the lady said to me, I've got your CV, I'd love to offer you the job. It's in Cyprus, can you fly out next week? And I pulled over. Now at this point, mobile phones weren't mobile phones like they are now. I mean, I'm talking, 18 years ago. So I think I had like a little Nokia where you could change the front of it. And I remember I'd pulled over because the phone was ringing, you didn't have Bluetooth or anything like that. So I pulled over into a service station, answered the phone. I said yes, yeah, I'll do it. I'm gonna, get the flight booked for me. I'm coming. And I drove home, and I got home and said, Mum, well, it's great, Mum and Dad. I've got another job. It's in Cyprus. I'm leaving next week. And I wasn't prepared for the reaction I got. So they weren't best pleased, to say the least. And I think it was more a concern of my health, but also maybe a fear of me, being the youngest and going away to somewhere where at the time there was quite a lot of conflict in certain parts of the world, and it was quite close to where I was going to be. And they weren't comfortable with it. They just weren't comfortable. Now I was 20, I knew I just wanted to dance, and naively just said I'm gonna go anyway, you know, and that's very me, that's what I do. I'm just gonna go, and I knew they would come round, you know, I knew that they would be okay with it, and I knew their reasons for not wanting me to go, for my own health and safety. I knew that's what their reasons were. However, I was 20 and I was going. That was it. That's me all over. If I'm doing something, I'm doing it. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to go anyway. So, and that was my not attitude. That was my vision. Was I knew what I wanted, and I was going to go and do it, and no one was going to stop me doing what I wanted to do. And I think this mentality and this focus and vision really does come from the fact that I have a condition that no one really knows too much about, that there is no cure for it, that no one really knows how it manifests itself, so where it's going to go and what it's going to do. And I think even at a very, very early, young age with this condition at 15, 16, I took it upon myself to think, actually, do you know what? I'm going to make the most of every single second that I've got, because you just don't know. And that goes for everything, not anybody who's just, you know, got an illness, or, you know, that's just life in general. You don't know how much time you've got, and your time is so precious that you just need to live every single second. Like, just go and fulfill your, you know, your dreams and your goals and your visions. You need to go and do it, because you just don't know, and no one knows. So that was me off to Cyprus. They did come round in the end before I left, which was great, and they took me to the airport and waved me off, and off I went. And weirdly, this again is very typically me, that I was going to a place where I knew no one. I'd never physically met anybody from this company, and I was told that when I got to the airport there'd be a sign with my name on. I was to get in the car with this person, whoever it was with the sign, and they were going to take me to a hotel. Didn't even know where it was. That's all I knew. So I got on this plane and I flew 5.5 hours to Cyprus. I got off the plane, I saw this guy, had my name on a board, and then I saw another guy walking over, because his name was also on the board, and do you know, for the life of me, I can't remember his name. I think it was Matt. Anyway, and he was from Manchester. So we kind of met at the airport, and it was like, right, okay, so we've got to go with this guy. So we got in the car and off we went, and we were in a place called Protaris where we were going to be working, which was great. And we turned up at this dark annex, and were given a key and a room and said, just stay here and someone will come and sort everything out in the morning, because it was about 1 o'clock in the morning at this point. So me and this guy were like, oh my God, dumped our bags. We're like, let's go find a bar. Yeah, let's go find a bar. So we went, and we went into this bar, and the only people in this bar were 4 or 5, like a group of 4 or 5 girls and lads, and they had the karaoke on. So we were like, oh, this looks fine, we'll go here. Anyway, it turns out we were all working for the same company. So they were also singers and dancers as well. And yeah, so that's a whole nother vlog, my dancing stories. But so I went to Cyprus, and what I probably haven't mentioned, is the fact that another trigger of my lupus was the sun. So any time that I'm out in the sun, whether it's winter sun or summer sun, my skin blisters. So, and it then internally affects me. So then I get extreme fatigue, then I get arthritis, then I get poorly, then, you know, my hair falls out, and then my skin gets bad, and, you know, so it's like a trigger. It's one of my triggers, and I know I've got it, and I know it's a trigger that I've got, and again, that was hard because I do like the sunshine. However, then this was again a roundabout reason why my parents were quite against me going to Cyprus, because they knew the danger of how poorly I could get if I was in the sun, which I was going to be in the sun because I was going to live in Cyprus where it's been 45 degrees in the summer. So that was one of their main concerns. Anyway, so I went out and you know, the first month was great. It was rainy season, so that was fine. It was warm but rainy, so that was okay when we were doing our rehearsals. But going into main season, so through Easter it was fine, but going into main season, the July and August time, my body completely flared, like my lupus flared up. I was covered from head to toe in blisters. I was constantly fatigued. My hair started falling out again. So all my symptoms, I was ill. I was physically ill. So all these symptoms were there. And I remember speaking to the girl who owned the company we were working for and saying to her, look, I need to change something, I don't know, you know. And she actually moved me into one of the hotels where they had air conditioning to try and make it easy for me not to be out in the sun so much, to kind of be in the hotel where I was dancing, because then I wouldn't be out in the sunshine as much. So she did, you know, loads and loads to help. And I did have to go and see a doctor out there. Now the doctors out there, I'm not sure how much they know about lupus. I mean, I don't know how much anyone knows. They prescribed me, again, steroids. And I remember taking these steroids, whether it was the wrong dose or the wrong sort of steroid, I don't know. But they just didn't agree with me. And I ballooned, I put on about 3 stone. And in the end, I had to come home. It was pretty much at the end of the contract, but I had to come home. So I came home, and I was really poorly when I came home, really, really poorly. And I took some time out. I took about a month out, maybe 2 months at home to recoup and to try and get my body back to where it needs to be. Went to my own consultant back in the UK and got myself on the mend again. So I obviously caused a lot of that myself by being in such a hot place, but you have to understand that my ambitions and my desires to do what I wanted to do, I wasn't going to let a condition that I've got stop me from at least giving it a go, at least trying to see if I can do it, at least, because you know, I don't want to live with, oh, what if I should have, what if I don't want to live with that. So I was going to do it anyway, and I would still do it. To this day, there is nothing that I would change, because I had the best season in Cyprus. It was amazing, and again, made some incredible friends. Yeah, just an amazing experience dancing over there. Loved it, absolutely loved it. Wouldn't change any of it for the world, regardless of how poorly I was or anything else. So I took some time out, and then I got a phone call from the boss I used to work with in the Isle of Wight, and she said to me, I've got a job going here for head dancer or dancer. Would you be interested? And I said, absolutely, yes. So so I'd been home from Cyprus, recouped for a little while, and then had this great new job dancing in Wales. So off I went to Wales, and I loved it. Oh my gosh! Again, I mean, I've loved all my work, but it was awesome. I lived in a castle like a princess. Worked in a castle, just loved that place. Like, loved everything about it. Loved the job, loved the people, loved everything. And I was there for 2.5 years, and I'd actually, I was there as a dancer, moved up to assistant entertainment manager, and then eventually to entertainment manager. And we had the best team. We just had the most awesome time. But again, 2.5 years there, things were changing a little bit within the company, and I decided that I was gonna come home again after 2.5 years. Now, in the time I was at Wales, I was very, very sensible, and I got a consultant up in Wales to manage my lupus, which I did. I was on medication for a time, and then when I felt okay, I took myself off it, which I mean isn't great. But again, I felt okay, and I know my body, and I knew at that point for me it felt right to not be on the medication anymore. And you know, again, this regime that I'd found, I was still continuing. I was still continuing with, you know, the exercise and the balance, the you know, just eating. I'm vegetarian, which I haven't mentioned yet. I've been vegetarian my whole life. My parents and my sister are both vegetarian as well, and that's just how we grew up. So my diet is, I mean, don't get me wrong, I can eat junk food. I love a bit of junk food, but in general, my diet's good. I don't really, I've never really had a problem with what I've been eating. I've found that because I've grown up with my lupus, I've been very aware of what makes me feel good and what makes me feel a bit rubbish. So my management of my lupus has always been through exercise and through diet and what I'm eating. So yeah, so I was in Wales for 2.5 years under a consultant there. I was on medication for a little while, and then I wasn't on it, and I was just managing my condition, which was great. Then in 2005, I again came home. So I'd worked 7 years away. I'd worked every Christmas, New Year, birthday. I'd missed so many birthdays, Christmases, New Year's with my family, and I don't know, I was just ready to come home. I did spend a lot of time with my family. I mean, even when I was working away, especially my parents would come out wherever I was working, and they would stay with me, and so I would see them quite a lot, but I really felt a void, and I felt like it was time for me to go home. And in that time, there'd been quite a few, we'd lost quite a few family members, and yeah, at this point, all of my grandparents had passed away. 3 of them had actually passed away while I was working away, which was hard as well, because I never really got to spend any time with them towards the end. But again, you know, it's life, and that's what we do, you know. We have to follow our dreams, and yeah. So I was 25, I decided, no, I wasn't at the time, I was 24. I decided I was going to come home, and I had no idea what I was going to do. However, I was coming home, and that was it. So I came home, and then got itchy feet again. So this was 2005. So I came home. I kind of tried to get a proper job, you know, like I can't remember what I was doing. Like a proper job, you know, like a normal job. And I think I worked in a hotel reception for a little while. However, when I'd come home in the 2005, another thing that had kind of prompted my decision to come back was the fact that I had been really, really poorly. In fact, the 6 months before I finished, I was so poorly at work in Wales that my parents had to come up, and my mum admitted to me that she thought I was going to die. They came up, and I'd been really poorly for a while, and they I was in my room and I was in bed, I couldn't get out of bed. And they literally had to pick me up out of my bed and put me in the back seat of their car and drive me home. And I remember driving back, and they took me the scenic route back. And I just remember being at Horseshoe Pass at Ponderosa, and they had to physically help me out of the car. And I just remember at that point thinking, I'm scared. I'm really scared. And they brought me home, and I spent a few weeks at home, and actually went to see a consultant back at home where I was. And again, within a little while, back on medication, and off I went again. I went back to Wales, but it did trigger things, and I think that was the point that made me decide that actually 2005 I was going to come home, and I was going to stay at home and spend time with the family. And I don't know whether it was because I didn't think I was going to last very long, or whether it was because I just hadn't spent time with them, or I don't know. I just knew I had to come home. And so I came home, and I was still not well. I was still really quite poorly, and it wasn't getting any better. So I had gone back to my consultant, and he then admitted me back into hospital. And this was in the maybe June time. Now, even when I was ill, even when I was in hospital, even all of this, I was still applying for dancing jobs. So crazily, I thought I could get a dancing job but live at home, and that was the plan. That I thought I could get a dancing job, live at home, still see my consultant, for my lupus, but still kind of be able to do what I wanted to do. So again, no direction whatsoever. I just knew I wanted to dance still. So I'd applied for a job and it came up out the blue as a Vegas showgirl. And I thought, that sounds great. And the agent was based in Birmingham. So I thought, oh, that's brilliant, because if she's local, then the work would just be local, And it was. So I auditioned, and I remember going to the audition and meeting some really fab girls there at the audition, and they were great. And I got a phone call the next day saying, we'd really like to offer you the contract. It's in Birmingham. It's a residency. You could, it's twice a week, or whatever it was at the time, I can't remember. So you just come to work, you do your dancing, and then you leave again. So I could live at home, which was great. So I was over the moon, and it was just perfect, just what I needed. And then on the back of that, she also said, would you be interested in a cruise contract? Because I've got one coming up for September. So I went to the audition. So she said, come to the audition. So I went along, and actually was looking to get that job as well. So I had a cruise contract as well for P&O Cruises. So everything was set up, everything was great. However, my health was not great at this point. So I went back to my consultant again, and he said, look, you know what? You're gonna have to come back into hospital. We need to get this sorted. So anyway, cut a long story short, I was then admitted again. So I was admitted back into hospital for another week. So at this point, it was tough, really, really tough. I didn't want to be there. And actually, I bought some tickets for me and a friend to go see Elton John, and he was playing at the Highfield Road in Coventry, which was our old football stadium, before they pulled it down. And Highfield Road? It was Highfield Road. And then built the new Ricoh Arena. So I'd got these tickets to go and see Elton John, and it was when I was in hospital. So I was like, oh my God, I can't go. So I spoke to the hospital and said, look, Saturday night, I've got these tickets, and it's a one-off concert, and I won't ever get to see him again at Highfield Road because they're putting it down. Can I go? And they said, well, they said yes. of a fashion. So anyway, I was on an intravenous steroid drip, and they took me off the drip on the Saturday so I could go out Saturday night, and then I had to come back to hospital on the Sunday, and that's what I did. I went out, but I remember it was just the fatigue and the pain of my joints and feeling sick, and I remember being out. I loved the concert, it was great. Lulu was there as well, it was brilliant, but I went out for a drink afterwards, but I really wasn't well enough to be out. I loved it, I'm glad I did it, but I was back in hospital again. So they discharged me on the Monday, and then it was my 25th birthday, and my sister had thrown me a surprise party for my 25th, invited all my friends, and I was really cross because I thought nobody cared and nobody wanted to celebrate my birthday, nobody would come out with me or even just kind of meet up for coffee. It was like no one was doing anything. I was like, this is awful, this sucks. Anyways, because I had a surprise 25th birthday party, and I remember, I've got the pictures now, I remember my hair was so thin, like it had all fallen out. I looked poorly, but yeah, but I was still happy. It wasn't like, you know, I'm really fed up because I'm ill. It wasn't at all. I was still thankful for everything that was happening in life, and you know, just loved life. I love life. So I had this great party, and then I went off on the cruise ship a few weeks later. Loved it. Loved cruising. It was amazing. Saw dolphins jumping at the back of the ship. It was just an incredible time. Seeing some amazing places again. Met some crazy people, and just loved it. Loved every second of it. I loved dancing, singing, all of it. So I came off the ship, and I started dancing at this residency in Birmingham, which was awesome. And again, oh my God, and I got to wear sequin bikini and feathers. Like, I was in my element. Loved it. And at that point, I'd started teaching dance as well. Got my qualifications and started teaching, which is when I knew where my next passion was going to be, in teaching. So I was teaching, dancing myself. My health had really stabilised after being on the ship. I think being on the ship had really helped with recuperation, as well as just it was a good place to be for recouping. It was recommended. Life was great at this point. Life was brilliant, as it always had been, but it was awesome. I was living at home, and yeah, things were great. In 2006, I fell pregnant with my daughter.